college students, I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that we've all been stressed at some point in our lives. Whether it's midterms or moving into a new place or even applying for college, we've had some pretty stressful events in our life. But how many of you have been told that stress makes you sick, that it's unhealthy and you should just relax? Yeah, that's what I thought. I've also been told this. Stress has been demonized and turned into the enemy when in reality it doesn't have to be. In the TED article by Danny Brodsky, Stress as a Positive, and subsequent TED Talk by Kelly McGonigal, How to Make Stress Your Friend, both published in 2013, tries to dispel this rumor. Stress isn't your enemy. It can be your best friend. I'm going to make sure you believe this. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of Americans today and for the past 100 million years. And it's often associated with stress. I'm going to talk more about this later. So it's no wonder why people believe that stress is bad for your health when it's associated with heart disease. Don't believe the hype. Don't fall into this bandwagon. According to a study done by the Department of Population Health Sciences at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in September of 2012, 29,000 people were asked to rate their level of stress. They had a little bit of stress, a lot of stress, a moderate amount of stress, and asked if they believed that stress was bad for their health. Over the 8 years, public records were used to see who died. People with a lot of stress had a 43% chance increase of dying. However, this was only true for those who believed that stress had a negative impact on their health. For those who reported having a lot of stress but did not believe that stress had a negative impact on their health, they had the lowest chance of dying out of the entire study, even those who said that they didn't have a lot of stress. So people don't die of stress. They die because they believe stress is bad for them. In McGonigal's TED Talk, based off stress-related deaths in the United States, believing stress is bad for you is the 15th largest killer of premature deaths in the U.S., larger than HIV and homicide. But can changing how we think about stress make us healthier? A 2011 study, the Trier Social Stress Test, for groups, and the 2016 study, The Relevance of Trait Anxiety and Coping Styles, from the Journal of the International Society for the Investigation of Stress, say yes. By changing your mind, you can change your body's response to stress. So we're going to test out how this works. We're going to do a little social stress test of our own. So pretend you're walking into class, public speaking class for our benefit, and you're asked to give a 5-minute impromptu speech on your personal weaknesses. And you're standing in the room in front of a panel of expert evaluators. Bright lights in front of you and a camera right in your face, kind of like this. Little do you know, however, that the evaluators are trained to give you an adverse reaction via nonverbal cues. So this is sighing, rolling your eyes, crossing your arms, not paying attention, tapping your feet. Now that you're thoroughly embarrassed, the second part of the social stress test is a math test, where the proctor is instructed to harass you during it. We're going to try this. I want all of you to count. Start from 873, count backwards by 9s. You're going to do this out loud as fast as you can. Go. Hurry up. You're going too slow. You just messed up. Stop. Kyle just messed up. Now we're going to have to start all over. Get the idea? We actually took this stress test. Sorry, Kyle, for calling you out. We may be feeling a little, stressed. Our breathing might be faster. Our hearts might be pounding. We may be breaking out into a sweat. But what if we saw this as a benefit? What if we saw our body's response to stress as us rising up to meet the challenge, as helpful instead of an obstacle? The 2011 study, researching stress and response and cognition from the University of Maine, says when we change our minds, we can physically change our body's response. A typical stress response, according to the European Heart Journal's findings in an article about increased coronary heart disease in individuals reporting adverse reaction to stress in 2013, during a typical stress response, our blood vessels in our heart will constrict, kind of like this. This is why cardiovascular disease associated with stress, it's not healthy for us to be in this state all the time. We're decreasing the amount of oxygenated blood we can get to the rest of our body, and also making our hearts work faster so we can get that blood to the rest of our body. But from the College of Physicians and Surgeons at Columbia University, a study on December 15th, 2012 finds that if we view stress as helpful, our blood vessels will stay relaxed, kind of like this. This is a much healthier cardiovascular profile to be in. It's the same one that we experience when we're having times of great joy and courage. One of the coolest things about stress, however, in my opinion, is that stress makes you social. During a typical stress response, our brain releases a hormone called oxytocin. It's a stress hormone, and it's gotten a lot of hype in the media as of late because it's also known as the cuddle hormone. It's released not only when you're stressed, but when you hug someone and when you have sex. So basically, when oxytocin is released, it's your body telling you to go surround yourself with people who care about you, to go and strengthen close relationships. A 2008 study focusing on how oxytocin shapes the neural circuitry of trust and trust adaptation by Baumgartner, Fischbacher, and Fair, oxytocin helps blood vessels stay relaxed and repairs previous damage caused by stress. So simply by hanging out with your friends, going to study groups, having Thanksgiving meals with your family, you're building up your stress resilience. In yet another study by the Department of Psychology at the University of Buffalo in 2013, a pool of 846 participants in Detroit had their stress levels assessed, and by using public death records over 5 years, they found that people with a high amount of stress had a 30% chance increase of dying. But people who were going out and volunteering, doing charity work, helping out others, they had an insanely lower increase of death. So by lending a helping hand, you can save lives, you can save your own. If we do not change our perspective on stress, we'll continue on this path of increased death. And we'll die by the sad age of 65 due to cardiovascular disease. If we do change our minds, we'll live forever.
I like how you reverse that.
So, if you had a lot of stress in this past year, I could have saved your life. Luckily, we just did a little intervention. So hopefully, when finals week ramps up and we're feeling that stress, that nervous energy, that anxiety, we'll see it as our bodies saying that we can do this. We can rise to meet the challenge, we'll succeed. Stress is not your adversary, it's your ally. Thank you.